That's awesome. So we got all of that stuff out of the way.
Cool.
The reverb. Yeah, DH, we're gonna have to figure out the TikTok thing if we're gonna.
Yeah, we'll work on it.
Maybe it's better you guys don't do the TikTok thing. You might get spied on, you know?
Maybe that's what it's trying.
They
to
might
tell
find
us.
out all about your dirty laundry, and you'll see it on the Asian,
the truth.
Korean internet over there and stuff.
Right.
That's be like male porn stars and shit.
All right, here we go.
All right.
They have been best friends since childhood, played the same sports, attended the same schools, and now they even teach together. You're listening to DC and DH on the DND Dynamite 80s podcast. So, guys, take it away. Hey.
All
Take it
right,
away, my
ladies
man.
and gentlemen, welcome into another episode of D&D Dynamite 80s. I'm DH,
I am DC.
and we're here to take another fun-filled look at probably the best decade ever, the 80s. I mean, it's
Go,
just
brother.
so amazing. DC, how's your week been, brother?
It has been wild and willy, but we're hanging in there.
That's it.
Kids
Hey, as
are
long as
off
we're
the wall.
still at the plate
It's
swinging,
hey, we got to get to spring break, brother,
we're getting there by another week.
because we're all going nuts.
Yeah. Hey, DC, I'm going to throw it over to you because I'm excited to get this
Yeah.
one started tonight. We got some special guests on, and
Absolutely.
this is going to be a great show.
Absolutely. We are honored to have a couple of members of Duran Duran. And as you can kind of tell with the sound of that, it's a tribute band out of California to Duran Duran themselves. And we got Jamie. And remind me your name again. I'm sorry.
Ronnie Wagner.
Ronnie, yes. We are honored to have you guys. How are you guys doing tonight?
Well, we're doing great. We live in Las Vegas, and that's kind of like where the band's situated.
Oh, okay. My
But
apologies.
no, it's
I
not
know
a big
you have
deal
a
because
lot
I mean,
of
some of that
gigs.
metadata still has to update, like I think throughout,
Yeah.
the Google search stuff, because we recently kind of shifted everything over to Vegas
Oh,
and stuff,
okay,
and that's where
okay.
we live right now.
Oh, beautiful town Vegas is.
So your
Oh,
research was
love
valid.
it. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
It was just like us, DC. It was outdated.
We're outdated, all right. Let me ask this first from both of you guys. It's just the general question. How long have you done the music thing? Since an early age or what?
Yeah, I mean, well, music brought Ronnie and I together because, we're a couple, we're in love, and we've had a long relationship, probably for the past like 4 years and stuff. And what brought us together was she is a musician and so am I. And, she read an ad, I think on Craigslist or something. And my singer, who's in a band called Babylon AD, which I'm one of the founding members of, and so is Derek Davis. He every now and then will go off and do his own thing, and like a solo record or something like that. And he just puts Babylon AD on the back burner because he wants to do maybe like a soul record or something like that. Most of the time I play on those things, and but whatever. He took an ad out in Craigslist over in the Bay Area, and she answered the ad, and she came walking in, and we kind of locked eyes, and she jammed with the band, and nothing happened at first, but we both got a call back to do a video with Derek, and then he decided to go ahead and put the band together, and that's how we met, and we haven't been apart ever since.
Isn't that something?
But we're both musicians. We're both from the East Bay, and I'm from the East Bay. Ronnie is from.
I'm from Marin County, California.
Yeah, she's from the North Bay. I'm from the East Bay, and we both played, in the music scene all through Northern and Southern California. Ronnie lived down in LA, and she like was part of the scene, like with Armored Saint, and God, there's just early Motley Crue and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
And there was a place called Filthy McNasty's, and she played there. But let me tell them a little bit more about that.
Yeah.
Well, Jamie's well known throughout the world, I would say, for Babylon AD and being signed to Arista Records and touring worldwide, establishing a very strong, solid following in his own hometown and taking the dream to Los Angeles. We have different stories. I was in LA And I played with a million different bands and did a lot of different demos and showcases and all the usual 80s stuff. But back then I was a guitar player. So meeting Jamie,
Wow.
it was just a chance. When I saw the ad, I was like, okay, well, I've heard of them. And I was playing on weekends with a blues band. It was very good. I thought, this is kind of like that with having a record deal and some fame and notoriety. So I went and did the audition. But they passed on me. But Jamie saw something in my bass playing. And when I got called back to do the video, I got another chance to try out. And I took advantage of every bit of coaching that Jamie could give me as the world famous rock star and fabulous drummer.
She didn't get passed on though. I mean, I would not have her get passed on. You know, I mean, I was her biggest fan, and I told my manager and my Sandma dudes, if you guys don't get her, I'm out. I'm not going to do it.
There you go.
No, I mean, I thought bringing, I played in Babylon AD since I was like 50. I know those guys since I was like 15 years old. I went to school with Danny Della Rosa, went to school with John Matthews in high school. And I've known Derek since, since I was 15 years old when I met him and I tried out for his band. And I was playing in the clubs and shit like that. When I was the day I turned 16, that's when I started playing in all the clubs and stuff like that. So him and I have been together we're together for quite a while. But like I said, he liked to do a lot of solo kind of things, and just kind of drop out of the band here and there. And that's what kind of brought us together. But I'll tell you what, when we played together, I was really excited because I thought the concept of having a female in the band, because I had just gotten back from Germany with Babylon AD, and a lot of the German heavy metal bands were female fronted, and the chicks were badass and they were beautiful, and it was just engaging it was just, empowering for the ladies that were in the audience, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I recognized that. And so when that opportunity came around, because I played with the same 5 guys forever, and she came along, I was like, yeah, she's good looking and she's pretty good. But we worked out for like a long time, I would say maybe a couple weeks or something like that. And, I didn't let her go home. I go, isn't that cool? We give her a couple, we're rhythm section, and you're not going home.
Stuck around. Yeah.
The very moment the word got out that Jamie was gonna leave, or the solo project of the moment with Derek Davis was on break, the very moment he got the phone call from Duran 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 asking him to come and join. And I'll say that Jamie got me the opportunity to audition. And I thought, a tribute band is going to have to be pretty open-minded to consider female for the part of John Taylor. But that's exactly what we had. We had a genius band leader who innovated the concept, and he was very open-minded, but it was all, Jamie got me the audition, but he didn't play the bass. So it was up to me to learn the parts, and it worked out.
And the task at hand was a big one because that's John Taylor,
Right.
I really didn't care for Duran Duran that much when I started this. I'm going, man, I'm going from this like cock rock, heavy metal kind of, band from Sunset Strip and shit. And I'm going to start like, playing pop. I'm all, but then after, my roots and my background, my mom and dad, they always listened to like War, Earth, Wind and Fire, Marvin Gaye, and then a lot of dance like George Benson and all that kind of stuff. So there was a lot of disco, dance, and that kind of music playing in our house. So that's kind of my style. I'm a groover and, but when I started listening to the Duran repertoire with Ronnie and started learning it, I go, this guy sucks. I didn't really dig his drumming and shit. But then I started drilling into it even more and really breaking it down. I'm the one who sucked. That guy's badass, right? And the shit that they were one of the first bands that played to a click,
Yeah.
And that's why their shit was just so pumping and so like, danceable and stuff back then. Because very seldom at that time in 1980, no one played to a click,
Right.
Jamie's musicality, and not just that, because he did evolve in his own way from being a hard rock drummer with those characteristics and that stylistic approach to infusing this incredible dynamism on the drums to our arrangements, to our performance. Here he is running backing tracks, click tracks, doing all this technological stuff with changing the drums around. I mean, it was an incredible evolution for the first year. And he still puts on the same kind of dynamic show performance that's relatively rare for a drummer. At the same time as the evolution of his drumming to include, it's not just all 16th notes on the disco hi-hat. It is a very high energy charged way of presenting the material that still remains true to its origins, as well as its own evolution over 40 years.
You know, when the Duran guys really started getting, start exploring like their true capabilities, is like when the drummer left and then Andy Taylor split, and it was just the three of them. And that's when Nile Rodgers came in, and then they brought in Steve Ferroni, right? And that, the presentation from that point on, I'm going, this is slamming, this is rad, you know. But then I go back, and you know, Ferroni's playing it in the spirit of Roger Taylor, you know, but because it's funk disco, it's moving, you know, and so those guys, to me, that really opened my mind to a big thing, because I connect with that.
Yeah.
So I apply, you know, all my, you know, R&B or whatever the stuff I grew up on, and I could make it swing really good. I was used to just be a heavy metal drummer, Tommy Lee shit and all that stuff. But now settling into a groove and listening to melody and playing to a click and running the tracks and all that stuff, it's busy work, man. I get off the stage, I'm like, holy shit, man, that was fun. I mean, I before it was just like pedal to the metal, you know, you get out there and just do your shit and then walk off and go drink beer and shit. But no, this is like, I gotta decompress and just like chill out, and I'll thank God that 2 hours is over. You know?
Yes.
But I mean, you know, I'm getting better at it, and you know, my band never did that kind of shit. We were just always like, you know, pedal to the metal, hardcore.
Yeah.
You know,
so
why don't you guys ask some questions? I feel like that we turned the interview around and like,
that's
That's okay.
That's what
That's
folks are
okay.
joining in for,
We're
is to hear
open.
from you.
I'm just kidding, man.
Hey, one of the things I always like to ask, and for both of you, what are some of your early influences in music who kind of influenced your personal style?
I'll let Ronnie have that, John.
I knew you would ask that question. I never really paid attention to each instrument. It was more the material. It was also people like Paul Maya, you know, Love Is Blue or something. The melody would appeal to me, or someone's voice, obviously the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. You know, enduring groups like Led Zeppelin that have that certain something like chemistry that you can't buy or rent, and that, you know, notwithstanding anybody's individual ability or showmanship or any other quality that's vital to success, it's that chemistry together. So early influences, I mean, I didn't even know I was a bass player until 12 years ago. So I wish I had known sooner, believe me. But when I picked up the bass, it just, I got it for Christmas, and I went and sat in with a local band. And the next day I was their bass player for 3 years. So then I started paying attention, like, what is that song? Oh, it's A minor to D, but what's he playing? So I really became a method bass player after those 3 years, really diving deep into whoever I was supposed to pair it, because I'm largely not an innovator of bass parts yet, but I'm good at learning them. So I invested a great deal of time and effort into John Taylor, of course. Early influences. I think, let's just talk about the 12 years. There was a wonderful event that used to happen in the fall called the Bass Player Live event. And it was like a giant bass nerd convention at SIR in Hollywood. The most gracious, that would be Lee Sklar. It would be the most famous LA session players and band. I mean, I met Maurice White. It was incredible. And John Taylor actually gave us a seminar there. So they all influenced me in that way, especially Ben Kenny from Incubus. I had one lesson. I'm self-taught, but you can pretty much learn anything on YouTube these days. But I had one lesson with Cliff Hugo from Supertramp, and that was interesting. But it wouldn't have been called like a traditional lesson. He was just incredible. He could do this two-handed thing that sounds like he's playing a Hammond B3. I've never seen anything like it. And he just basically said, "Let's see your hands." He goes, "Okay, you're fine." Anyway.
I think like a lot of the influences that I had is like, you know, musically as a drummer, we're just friends from high school that introduced me to the right rock and roll. You know, I mean, the first two records I had were me and my brother acquired were like Kiss Destroyer and I think Aerosmith Toys in the Attic, you know. And when I saw Joe Perry on the back of that toy, I'm like, oh man, that guy's a villain. Look at that dude, you know. And then it just I always like I played baseball and I was hung out at the drags and shit like that. And I always wanted to be Evel Knievel at one time, you know. And but when I got drumsticks in my hands, I learned pretty quick, and a lot of my local people, took me under their wing. One of that lives there in your town, his name is Troy Lucchetta, and he's the drummer for Tesla.
Oh, okay.
And so, and he plays in the Guess Who right now, actually. He's touring with the Guess Who.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was one of my mentors. I met him at the young age of 16 years old in a bar, and I was told to get dressed in the kitchen when my mom and dad were waiting for me to come out. And his band walked in the kitchen and walked right on stage, and I got to talk to him and meet him. And Troy was in that band. They're called Benny and the Jets. Got some great stories about that, but I'm not going to, Anyway, another one of my mentors too is Leonard Hayes from Y&T. If you guys, who Y&T is, yeah, I mean, I remember a friend of mine, she set me up to go hang out with him, right? I watched Leonard a bunch of times when I was growing up, but I finally got a connection where I could actually go hang out with him. So she goes, yeah, she wants you to call before you go up there. I said, okay. So I was at the bottom in San Leandro, and he goes, hey, you down the hill? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, don't come here empty-handed. I had an about face and go back to the liquor store and go. But no, Leonard was right. He was so cool. And then I got introduced to Joey Elves. He was the guitar player. He was the rhythm guitar player. And the Y&T family's been really cool to Babylon AD. We've got to open a lot of shows for them. We played with them on Monsters of Rock Cruise. We played with them in like Great American, the Bay Area, Petaluma at the what's that place called? The Mystic Theater. A couple, they do 2 shows in a row, and they had us play there and stuff. So Y&T family's been very cool to us and stuff because they recognize we're from the East Bay, and they were our mentors. You know what I mean? So I was lucky to have a lot of friends like that. A couple of my other friends, Adam Day, he's like the guitar tech for Slash, and he's been with Slash since 1987. My friend Marco Bustos, he was on the road with me, and he's in he does everything for Tesla. He's like the Tesla, guitar guy. And then another guy that grew up in the neighborhood, his name was Kevin Carlson, and he was in Aldo Nova, and he was one of the first guys on MTV from our, neighborhood and stuff when that song "Life Is Just a Fantasy" came out,
Yes.
Right.
And we were going, look at Kevin, man. Dude. Kevin was a god, man. I sort of got so good looking, great hair, killer smile. He was so rock star. If you go back and watch that video again, you'll see what I'm talking about. But he inspired a lot of all of us, and he set the bar. And there's a lot of great people that came out of the Fremont, Hayward, East Bay rock and roll scene. She's North Bay. There's, incredible people like Montrose and, Journey and all that stuff. Right. But over on my side, it was like, Y&T, guys like Tesla, that kind of stuff,
But to be fair, I went to high school in Los Angeles.
That is not fair.
And when I went back, I moved down there to be with my dad, and he was playing in the studios and playing violin. And I went to college, and then I went back to LA, and there was so much happening in the 80s. It was just, I'm so glad that I was there for it, even if I was a late bloomer essentially with music. But there were so many local bands. I was showing Jamie just the other day. I said, I don't really think you have the full sense of how much I actually did in the 80s. Back then, I have a tomato crate full of audio cassettes.
She went in the studio more than me, man. And I made records and shit. She has tons of studio time.
I didn't get signed. I played on one record album, and I think I played like one little acoustic part and sang harmonies or something. And it was a fabulous artist. But my point being is that in that time, there were so many incredible original artists coming out, many of whom never got famous, but I mean, once again, the compositions were fabulous, and many of the leaders, the vocalists were really, I mean, I wish they would have gotten more fame.
Now, DH, what they're describing is kind of what we experience with those that are trying to hit it on the country side of things
Yeah.
Yeah.
with, Tootsie's and all those
Yes.
places.
Oh,
You guys know who invented the
scenario? Some of these famous bars and places that are out where you're at versus what we kind of deal with down on, Music Row.
yeah, I've been through there. I've toured through there with my band Babylon AD. It's just
Oh, have it?
wonderful
Okay.
town, I mean,
Yeah. It's
yeah.
it's a lot of stuff happening here, currently.
That's why we're in Vegas. It's Vegas and Nashville's where it's at. I mean, if you
Yes.
want to be,
Yeah.
but Nashville, from what I understand, and I've talked to my friend Troy about it a few times. It's more of a musicians, songwriters kind of town, where there's
Sure.
all kinds of networking with
Right.
opportunities to be songwriting for labels and publishing and stuff. Whereas our town, it's pure entertainment,
Yeah.
and I'd rather do the latter.
But I think-
That's why I'm here.
I think we saw a show about Steven Tyler. Didn't he go to Nashville and find
Yeah,
he found a
yeah.
local band
Yeah.
and just with
Just put a Craigslist thing out and you got the best players
Oh,
in
yeah.
the world. You know how that works.
Yeah, it's we always joke around because here in Nashville back in the 80s when rap was starting to come around,
Yeah.
and this is how dynamic Nashville was. It would be like
Right.
Van Halen with Rad opening up, and then the next thing you know, it'd be like George Jones special guest star Rad. I mean, it was just they were there for everybody. It was like,
It's
look
funny
at
you
that.
said rat, just
Oh yeah.
Dr. Ronnie
No,
mentioned.
we love Rat and we love
Yes.
you tell him.
No. Where we live, and here in Vegas and stuff, Stephen Piercy lives down the way from us.
Oh,
And so he goes to the pub like across the street. We live on this body of water called Lake Jacqueline. Okay. And there's like 3 canals and stuff. It's in Vegas. It's probably the only water you might see in Vegas besides what's that other place? Lake Sahara. Yeah. Anyway, and a friend of ours came over to visit this guy. His name's Johnny Monaco.
We're trying to poach Stephen Pierce's guitar.
No, but Johnny Monaco came over and hung out, and he was the lead singer in Enough's Enough.
Amazing.
I met him one night at a club, and he came over and hung out. He goes, Piercy just lives right down the way over there. I'm all, Stephen Piercy lives here. That's going, oh no, dude, everyone lives over here. I'm like going, and my friend Peter Marino from the Bay Area, he always says, oh, the rock stars live in Vegas, But Piercy was at the pub across the street, I guess. And like when she went over to go get his dinner, and she like, hi.
I told bartender, I said, "Is that Stephen Pierce?" I knew it was him. And she said, who? I said, oh, you don't know who he is, do you?
Oh, gee, yeah.
Well, it's a little girl. So I leaned for it and I started singing, round and round. Oh, I see. She goes, let me go check. I said, it says Stefan. I go, no, that's how he spells it. She goes, you should go talk to him.
And that was only Monday night in Las Vegas.
That's one of the things that I told DC. I said, I know when we're getting older, when our heavy metal is now music they use on commercials, like that commercial. And then, Rat, they have the rats in the attic and they're up there.
Yeah.
Playing. I mean, that's just, I'm still jamming to
That's
it.
still
Right?
just the greatest video. That is
Oh yeah.
unbelievable.
Which one with the one with what's his name? The
Milton Berle.
Yeah. That was their manager's brother or
I was
something
going to
like
say
that.
there's a relation.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Wow.
Country
Cool.
music was I played in a country band in LA, in a house band at a club called the Corral in Lakeview Terrace.
Corral.
And seen Terminator 2 when he comes out,
Yep.
out of the bone, it's that bar. And it was these sort of urban cowboys, but they really had a hitching post and everybody was a real horse rider and everything like this. And I was, the artist that I played for was named Jerry Pearson and Stampede Pass. We would play the Palomino on the weekends for barbecue night, and he would do his original. But you have to have a connection like what you were talking about, because there are some fabulous writers that don't make it all the way in every style. And with country, Jerry had a connection through Hoyt Axton. And that's why he had come to Los Angeles. And he took it pretty far. I wish I knew where he was now, because he was a wonderful band leader, wonderful artist.
It's kind of funny because here in Nashville, we always say, if you want to find a tourist, look for the one with the cowboy hat on. That's going to be
Very true.
It's Nashville. The comparison in Nashville and Vegas is so similar because it's really about networking, meeting people. And, a lot of these people that interact with other people, you know, I talked to a few and mentor and stuff sometimes, and I just said, you know, if you want to be successful, be nice. Just be
Yes.
nice. Just be nice to everybody.
That's a
Don't
great
be dick,
point.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, because you know,
You're
you
right.
just never know who the hell you're talking to and stuff. I mean, I've been in the
Exactly
music
right.
business since I was 15 years old, man, and I learned the hard way a few times.
Yes.
You know?
You know, the most successful stars that we've come across have been the most gracious.
Oh, hell yeah.
I have to
I mean, we
tell
hung out with Donny
Yeah.
Osmond one night, and it was
Oh,
just
that's cool.
joy. To, I
That's
mean, his
awesome.
show was incredible, but what a nice soul, man. That
You
guy
know,
was so sweet.
so
He's
sincere,
genuine.
so
That's
genuine,
nice.
and
That's great to hear.
he autographed my bass, and he's just a wonderful person.
That's
Besides being
awesome.
a fabulous entertainer.
Yeah, we also have another friend of ours. He plays he plays in residency. Have you guys ever heard of the Rock Vault in here in Vegas? So it's kind of a franchise brand. What's a brand? And they have like a lot of the guys that are on tour, like you know Blas from Slaughter, and some of the guys like Michael Schenker, Whitesnake
Okay.
guys and stuff.
Yeah.
They all are part of this cast called Rock Vault. Okay. And it's been a long running show, and they take you. They have a storyline. They kind of go through this journey, this chronological journey through rock and roll, and they play all these cool songs starting
Oh,
in a
wow.
certain era, like in the '60s, and
Fantastic.
go all the way through. Anyway, a friend of ours is in. He's one of the first people we met when we came here, and his name's Zoran Maddox, and you know he's in that, and we've been recording with him and stuff, with my friend Peter and stuff. But he's the nicest guy. I was just kind of making a parallel to, you know, the people that are super nice. You know, you could, I mean, it goes a million miles, and he's one of those kind of guys. That's why he's successful like that, you know, because he's not really like, he's not a signed artist, but he's a genuine dude, and he's a rock star. I mean,
He carries the
Yeah.
weight in their show.
Yeah.
I've seen the show twice, and he probably has. Who has two double neck guitar changes in one set? You know what I mean, he's just all over the place. He's fabulous,
Wow.
but he's also a fantastic studio engineer. And we had the opportunity. Well, he worked with us to remix and also re-record some tracks on our Duran Duran demo. But we also got called to a recording session on original music for Peter Marino of Le Mans, who's also a shrapnel artist. You can look up his discography, fabulous singer and songwriter. And working with Zoran, he played guitar, sure, but he was also the engineer and like a producer in a way, like the blend of the two.
yeah, he's all, we're gonna work. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's just
My
so-
hair's gonna get fucked up, man. You know?
Just such fabulous musicians here to work with. Wonderful, wonderful town. We're so excited.
So Peter Marino is he's a guy from the Bay Area, and he kind of inspired bands like mine. His band got signed like in '84, and his guitar player was like Derek Frigo, the guy that was in Enough's Enough. I mean, Derek was on that video, High on a New Thing and stuff. Incredible guitar player. That was Peter's guitar player. Anyway, so Le Mans was like one of the biggest, most crushing bands in the Bay Area in '84. Set the bar for everyone, got a record deal, and then just disappeared. I mean, they just got shelved. But I always looked up and admired Peter, and when I always used to see him around and stuff like that, I'd make a point to talk to him. But I knew he was living out here, and I found him on Facebook, and he was like trying to ignore me. I'm all, dude, I know everybody that you know, and if you pull that shit on me, he goes, all right. He's just like one of Scroogey, like, you know, and we become really good friends with him. I mean, he loves her, and we hang out with him and stuff, but it's cool because he was one of our, you know, first friends here, and then it evolved from Zoran. Even though Peter's kind of like mean, he's kind of nice in his own little way, you know.
Well, Peter and I had a common ground that we discovered because he says, how do I not know you? I said, well, I think I was in LA and you were in Marin. We just sort of, but we did have people in common. But you know, when he had us to dinner at this sort of greasy spoon in Vegas, you know, the smoke from the barbecue and everything. And
Oh, yeah.
he's very expansive and
He takes the show. He takes the
Yeah.
room over, dude. I mean, you are not going to get a word in edgewise. If you think we're bad, that guy, wow.
So he's going on and telling us, you know, and we're sort of his audience, and he's telling Jamie something. And finally looks at me and goes, did you know Hugo Rinaldi? I said, well, yes, my mother, you know, he taught me to play the baritone. You know, so we have this awesome music connection. And we have the same kind of sense of humor. We have to be careful not to hurt anyone's feelings, I think.
So, you know, I wanted to, you guys were on this question about like the Nashville scene and how it evolved kind of through the 80s and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Who was responsible for rock and roll Def Leppard? I mean, country Def Leppard, my bad. Who was responsible for Country Def Leppard? Do you know?
Oh,
Trivia.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
I'm gonna leave that to
So
DC.
correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But remember when Shania Twain's new stuff came out and started to have,
Yeah.
you know who her producer was, right?
I don't.
Don't
I don't
remind me.
follow country music. I'm sorry. I should,
Yeah.
but I don't.
Mutt
I live
Lang.
here and don't.
Mutt
yeah.
Lang. Mutt Lang
Oh,
produced Def
okay.
Leppard. He
No.
produced
Yeah.
Yes,
AC/DC,
Mutt. Yeah.
right?
Wow, yeah.
So those big giant choruses like in Def Leppard and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
When him and Shania hooked up and they were married, he produced all the records, man, and he changed Nashville to like, you know,
Wow.
yeah.
That's exactly right. Yeah, I forgot they did get they were married at one time. That's exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah,
I was just wondering about if you got, because
That's
you know, it's a good story because everybody
Yeah.
was always, everyone always feared Mutt Lang because he was just so brutal. I mean, he'd fire like, you know, Rick Allen off the records, and he was just such a madman, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I've made records with some really cool dudes, man, but I've heard stories about some of the other producers like Andy Johns and Mutt Lang. It's just like, I don't even know if I want to show up. Man, fucking kick my ass, you know.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Jamie. You know, I guess that's some of their personalities, those kind of guys. But do you think that's the intention? Is they're trying to get the best out of the artist? That
Oh,
way?
hell yeah. Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And everybody has a different approach. You know, some guys are calm. You know, some guys want to have fun. You know, they want to just get the vibe going.
Kinda
Tom
like that,
Werman was
yeah.
like that. I worked with Tom Werman on my second record, Nothing Sacred, on Arista Records.
Mhm.
And Clive Davis signed us, you know, to Arista. I don't know if you knew that, but Clive Davis gave Tom Werman one of his first job as an A&R guy at Columbia. And then Tom worked his way into producing. And then, you know, before you know it, you know, Tom was doing like Ted Nugent, he was doing Molly Hatchet, he was doing Cheap Trick, you know, and the list goes on. And then when he left and he just started going independent, you know, that's when he started doing like Motley Crue and I mean, he invented the LA sound, you know what I mean? So that guy, I mean, LA Guns, Molly Poison. I mean, that guy's gone through every band, right? So we had an opportunity to work with him in '92, and he created vibe, man. Every Friday night, I'm not even gonna go into the shit show that went down, but it was fucking rock and roll, man. That's exactly how you pictured it.
You know, we were talking about Zoran Maddox being a combination of engineer and producer, and that's a good example of somebody who was artful and yet severe about extracting the best possible performance. And that was true in the original sessions that we did, but also when we tasked him with mixing and then recutting certain tracks on our Duran 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 demo. Because we don't play it exactly the same. I pretty much play everything note for note because I think that's critical for the project. But with Jamie's rock and roll influence and his dynamism on the drums, to take nothing away from, you know, the perfection of Roger Taylor, also the mix of the lead guitar. I mean, the spectacular cutting, you know, just an edgy guitar that we have, I think it works perfectly well without corrupting the genre.
If you guys go to our website and listen to demos that are up there,
Mhm.
you know, I mean, I don't know if you guys hooked around or anything.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to update because no, okay. No, I was
But
gonna say that he did extract the best because I recut, let's say, 4 of the 6.
yeah, I know that.
And,
But so we got another singer too. You know, we'll talk to you about, you know, if you guys want to know a little bit more about Duran Duran and how we do things and stuff. We'll talk more about that.
But being able, the last point I was going to make is that having an engineer that's conversant with the genre that we're trying to do, and also with our approach, and having the ears for it, we want the drums present. We don't want them buried like a metronome in the back. It's not about that. It's about staying in your lane as much as you have to and still bring that creativity to the tribute act. And Zoran was brilliant with that.
Yeah, I mean, and Ronnie made a good point. Like Zoran was kind of like a whip, like in a way. But my producer on our first record, Simon Hanhart, he was a sweetheart. He's like, just about there, mate. One more time, just for 12 hours straight.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? But oh God, I remember walking down Sunset Strip with tears coming down my eyes, going, I don't know if I can do this shit, man. I told my mom, and she's like, get your ass back in that studio right now and finish that recording. but Simon was a sweetheart, you know. I mean, he actually was a producer that came in and kept the unit together and shepherded them through, like, you know, the first storm that they ever went through. Because when you finish your shit, you know, on the first thing, you go, wow, I kind of grew up. You know, I didn't know if I could do this or not, but now I know what to expect. Now I know what pro means, you know. So Zoran, when we worked with Zoran, I'm looking at him, all, who the fuck you? Who is this motherfucker, man? You know what I mean? It's just like, but no, it was fun though. He's like, come on, man, we're gonna work. I'm all, God damn it, right? He got good stuff out of us, though, man. He did. And that's what a producer does. You know, they all have different approaches and stuff. But then you have the one guy like Andy Johns, like, get the fuck out of here, mate. You know, he worked on all the Zeppelin records and stuff. And so he's known for kicking drummers out and shit like that. Andy Johns did Cinderella. He did Van Halen. He did you know, but he's most known for working on Zeppelin with Jimmy Page. So anyway.
That brings us to the question that I ask every week. We have a running poll.
Oh, geez.
So
I'm going to go ahead and bet that I'm going to win 3 weeks in a row.
Oh no, we can't have this happen. So I have to say, you know, you get the deciding votes here. You can either vote for Motley Crue or Van Halen. It's your choice. Motley Crue or Van Halen. Your choice.
You're asking us? Okay.
Yes.
Van Halen, thank you.
It's a hard one, man,
That was
because
not hard for me.
it's a hard one because, you know, we were just ready to watch The Dirt again for the 25th time. You know, just so we could see that opening scene, you know.
Absolutely. I could watch it every day.
But it would have to be Van Halen because David Lee Roth personified, and the Van Halen brothers opened the door for all
It's
SoCal.
tough. Yeah.
You know what I
That's
mean?
a tough one. It is.
Yeah, I mean, he opened the door for Crew. He opened the door for everybody, you know.
Right.
So David Lee, you know, Eddie Van Halen, Alex, Michael. I mean, those guys.
Sure.
Because before that, it was like what? Steely Dan, Fleetwood Mac, you know, all this shit. You're going, it's going to be impossible.
Total different,
in the music business with these guys.
Well, I would say this with the guitar playing. First of all, everybody derives, you know, sort of from the blues masters to Hendrix and then forward, and until you have Eddie Van Halen, and then, you know, much respect to the Yngwie Malmsteens and all the genius virtuosi who followed. Eddie Van Halen created something new with the guitar. He was a vanguard of that style. And just as so many hard rock guitar players and brilliant guitar players started, you know, emulating Jimi Hendrix, who started, you know, from the blues, from Eddie Van Halen forward is a new generation. So I think that alone, because to take nothing away from Tommy Lee's wonderful drumming, but I also think that their compositions distinguish them in this battle. And I think their oeuvre is better. I think their songs are better.
But Molly's still touring, so, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, too bad. I mean, I'm sure Eddie would be, you know, if he was still existing.
Sure.
That crushed me, you know. I mean, you know, it was weird as I always had his poster in my room when I was a kid growing up. I never had an Alex poster, and I'm a drummer. I just thought Eddie was the coolest shit, man, you know.
Well,
Didn't he originate on the drums? Didn't he play the drums at one point?
Maybe he could have, but there's always those guys. There's a couple guitar players, you know, like Joe Perry and Ron Wood, and, you know, and like Eddie Van Halen and stuff that just, it's just their presence, like a rock star, you know what I mean? And you know, and they're the ones that let the music do the talking too. And, you know, I guess they have carte blanche to be a dick every now and then too.
Right.
Getting back to being nice.
Right. My question, as we kind of get here to the close of the deal, why, and we've kind of danced around it a little bit, why in the world is this 80s thing, and I'm glad it is, because we obviously love it, why do you think it so connects to so many generations of people still to today?
Because quality always wins. And what, you know,
Good songs.
It goes back to your first question of the early influences. You go to the song, and a song that has value is a communication with art. And that's why it's going to have universal appeal and be successful and be timeless and enduring. So I would say it's because quality always wins, and those songs and those bands and what came from that time is, you never get sick of it. I mean, you might think that you could get tired of Hungry Like the Wolf, but having played it, I can't count how many times, I could never get sick of it.
Yeah, it's a fun gig, man. I mean, it's just the whole Duran or our repertoire and all the things, and all the gigs that we played this past year.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd love to share some more stories with you and stuff like that, but it would probably take a lot longer. But just so we understand, of where we're coming from and stuff, so you guys kind of get a little bit more context about what we're doing. Is like, we told you about the story on how we met and stuff, but what we have is we acquired this brand from the guy that was the innovator. Okay. And he had to check out for a while. He had to go take care of himself and stuff. We made him an offer on the brand. I'm a graphic designer. Ronnie's a retired lawyer. I'm also a design educator, and I work as an art director at a big brand company. And, I got a record deal when I was like, I don't know, in 1987, and in 93, I got dropped, and I just went back to college for 6 years, but I was an educator and all that stuff. So her and I, as a team, we thought of this concept and we kind of built it after like Rockball. We have a cast. Okay. So when you go on our homepage and our website and stuff, you see multiple players. Okay. A lot of those players are very well-known people here in Vegas. We have some Vegas stars with us, and we're going to make some announcements soon of some other Vegas stars.
We have ongoing recruitment. We kept everyone, we sort of fell in our laps to be band leaders. We were sidemen. We were vigorous.
We were in the band. We were a band. We were a band, so the band, when you're in a band, you always share the studio rent and the picture sessions and the expenses. And then it was all dropping on all of us anyway, because no one ever had any money and shit. It's the same old fucking story.
The originator he's very interested in his original project, and he'd been to Europe with it. He did a lot of recording more recently, and he would go off and on with the Duran tribute.
But he built this thing,
he
built
did.
it from 2008. If you go on our YouTube channel and you look at some of the early renditions of Duran Duran Duran, the guy that looks a little like Pokemon Asian guy, he's Mexican. His name is Bobby Cannon. And well, it's hair, he's kind of gothy and stuff. But hey, man, I'll tell you what, that guy, he's a talent. And he was doing like backing tracks a long time before a lot of people and stuff,
They're not karaoke. He
emulated, the things perfectly. We watched his recording process when he was recording, when Ronnie and I recorded with him, and the dude he just drills in way too fast, my comprehension, but, when he decided to check out and stuff, we were trying to say, I understand, but Jesus, my name's on all these contracts of the next 10 gigs we're going to play. And so, we talked it out and made him an offer and stuff, and just said, why don't you check out? And we're going to just take this thing over. And so as a branding designer and as a woman that she could communicate, she's a retired attorney, we have a great business model, a great plan. And, we're recruiting the best, musicians like from Northern California and here up in Vegas and are down in Vegas. And everyone in town is really digs what we're doing, It was kind of motocross at first, when we took it over, some of the other band members that were in, like OGs, they didn't understand at first. No, we own the brand now. We're going to hire you. And then we made up a little model, in a credo. It's just, if you look good, you're the repertoire, you show up and play. All you need to do is just take the money and go. And, we pay our players great because we want to treat our players with respect and dignity. And, and we were up and coming musicians, man. I got shit on all the time. I was a drummer, and so we make sure people are fed. They got a place to sleep. They come over here and jam with us and, at our home, and, everyone, we have like dinner and stuff, all that. And these guys, some of them are kids, they're going to play 4 or 5 gigs that day,
We've met fabulous people. Recruitment's been, we scrambled, I thought, to save the shows. They were engaged with Jamie.
He left, man. He was the innovator.
Yeah.
We had to get 2, we had to get 3.
Oh my gosh. It's like, we got to teach somebody, anyway, but we found fabulous talent. The first, I discovered a guitar player here who's in his 20s, let's say, and he's fabulous. But he couldn't play the first show because he had to get with Toby Keith. So he gave me his sub, and that guy's amazing.
Yeah, he plays on Fremont Street
Yeah.
all the time,
And,
and
yeah,
he gigs
so-
around town like every night.
Mhm.
So does our co-singer, Paige.
Strafella.
Strafella. She's like
She's a producer as well.
she's a producer of a big show called Money's Dark, and she plays all the lounge
amazing.
gigs.
Wow.
I mean, she's a beautiful lady, man, you know, and she's a single, you know, a mother of two, and she works freaking hard, and, you know, and she's badass, and she's making it, you know.
You know, Las Vegas really makes me feel like 80s Los Angeles, in that feeling of opportunity at every level, and everybody's trying really hard. Everybody has this motivation to be a great performer, and it's that wonderful creative vibe of the music industry. I really feel, and I know it's different, of course, but it satisfies that desire.
The one thing we're doing different with this is we're not in a band anymore. We are an entertainment act, right? We have two, you know, co-singers on stage with our, you know, our lead singer.
Yep.
You know, we plot out what exactly we're going to wear, and, you know, and we're trying to build this thing into, like, you know, a residency, and also like a brand, you know, where we could go anywhere we want in the world, you know. So, but we attract the best players because the business model is built on respect, you know, and honesty and transparency, you know. And like I said, all you got to do is show up and take the fucking money, man. That's a good deal. You're gonna get. Do you want to play Duran Duran? You know, I mean, it's just like, it's that simple now.
Once they hear the songs, which you're talking about, and why the 80s so popular, why is the huge volume of wonderful music that came from there. I don't think anybody really who is going to try out for our act necessarily knows some of the songs that we played, or knows that they are Duran Duran songs. And that's when it gets really exciting. It's like, okay, I guess we're going to play, you know, X, Y, and Z that everybody's heard a million times. I didn't know they did this song, or what about that song?
Yep.
And it's musically challenging and satisfying, even to the very best players.
You know, they sold over 65 million records. Okay, and if you go on Google and you search out like Duran Duran tribute band, right? We come up number one because, I mean, I'm an SEO guy. I know all this shit. I'm a marketing dude, but there's maybe a handful of Duran Duran tributes, because it's freaking hard to do.
Right.
You got to have pretty people and all the, you know, you got to have a whole deal. You know, it's just really hard to replicate.
Right.
Sure,
And it's a great niche because, you know, they were trying to put something together here in town at one time, and there's no way they could compete with us because all the branding and all the communications and all that kind of stuff costs a lot of dough. And when it comes down to it, musicians sometimes they start to realize that when it's like you're kind of into it already and you kind of blew it, you know, because you don't have the dough for the promotional materials and all this stuff. I mean, I do video, I do, you know, digital design, graphic design, all that stuff. So when we first met, I'm just going, we could freaking take on the world, dude. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, we have like I said, we have this cast, we have this concept. Our players dig us, and we respect our players. We just want to make a nice situation and play music, because when we're all together, man, we're having a great time. We really are.
It's different to have a tribute act than a cover band in several respects, the most important of which is we're not just, let's play a few Duran songs. We really strive to evoke the
show, yeah.
You know, the performance execution of these complex compositions and still make them fun and danceable. But really, we respect, you know, Duran Duran, and we are tributing them. And so it's not just let's play a bunch of songs kind of like that. No, we really are on point with the delivery.
But we make it a little dangerous, though. Those guys might go to bed and shit, and I might just stay up all night, you know? Yeah. And my girl's going to go up there like a stripper and shit like that. We could just do that. I mean, we could do that because, you know, we're not going to get in trouble because we're the bosses.
It's not right.
No, man, we have the people, our people are great, man. And this has been a fantastic journey because, like I said, I was in the same band for many years. As a matter of fact, the new live record just came out with Babylon AD. It's all over Facebook now and shit. But I have to make a statement right now. You know, I'm not going to tour with those guys, and I'm not doing the next record, you know, and they know that. And it's a bummer, but I do all their marketing and shit like that. I do our website, you know, I've handled that since 1999. you know,
Yeah.
and it's a big deal. I mean, and so, you know, just to make good on my part of the stake, you know, I mean, you know, I still support it, you know, I have to, you know,
Right.
so you know, because one day it might blow up and I'm not going to just say, fuck it. I put my whole, you know, my
Right.
whole life into that shit. Right.
Sure.
And I told Jamie, it's like if you're one of the Rolling Stones, you might live in different countries, but for your life, you're part of that legacy. And even if you don't do one or another campaign or project or something like that, you can't remove, what is it, you know, take the
Right.
out of, yeah. He's always going to be, you know, founding and performing member and recording signed artist national with Babylon AD. And I think that's just part of him.
But we're doing this now. We're living our dream. We're having a great time. And, you know, yeah, we moved here to Vegas and God, we've just been lit up ever since we moved here, you know? I mean, we go back and forth to the Bay Area and we just do our thing. My job lets me, you know, it's pretty flexible. So I'm pretty blessed in that area and stuff. So, you know, like again, Ronnie just, now she just, you know, stands up on the upper balcony with her bass and her booty shorts and practices all day because she's like retired now, right?
Right. There you
No,
go.
we're living the dream, man. This is awesome.
Will you tell everybody how to follow you guys? You kind of started that, and please do.
Yeah, you could join our mailing list at duran3tribute.com. And our Facebook is Duran Duran Tribute Band at Facebook. And we're also on Instagram too as well. So it's just Duran Duran Tribute Band Official. You know, so
Awesome.
Yeah, and I when I promoted the interview here, I got a couple of likes from several of the band members that were on Instagram. So your lead singer,
Paul
gave a like. And
okay,
who was the young lady you were talking about?
Well, they're not invited to the interview though. You know, I mean, I told them it's us.
Right? No, but that's why they gave a thumbs up. It was awesome.
Oh, Julia.
Julia Finger, maybe.
Julia Finger.
The blonde.
Oh, Paige.
Paige.
That's Paige.
Paige also mentioned you know, a like for it. So that good people, you can tell they are.
Yes,
so.
definitely.
I mean, you know, it's a melting pot here. You know, our other co-singer Julia, man, she's a powerhouse. Janis Joplin. I mean, she's so statuesque. She's a showgirl. You know.
Yeah.
And, so it's a whole different trip for us, you know, and we're loving it. We're loving every minute of it. It's a new challenge because it's just not, you know, the Sunset Strip, but now it's the Las Vegas Strip.
There you go. Can you hang as we bring our sponsor stuff in here, and then
you better hurry up because you're not going to get a word in there.
We have a lot to say.
We would like to thank our sponsors, Hudson's Flags and More, veteran owned and operated, the Nesting Project of Smyrna, Tennessee, and our newest sponsor, PJG Marketing. You can find all these great folks online. You most certainly can.
Yes. All right. Jamie, Ronnie, thank you both so much for joining us. It was such a pleasure. We would love to have you back sometime to hear more stories.
We want more.
You guys are amazing. And folks, go online, check out their website, check out their videos they've got on there.
You can check out also, you know, on the other side of my spectrum is babylonad.com.
Yes.
Ronnie has her own website. It's ladybassqueen.com, and I have my own as well, JameyPacheco.com.
Perfect.
Absolutely.
And folks, make sure to check it out. Y'all have been amazing tonight. Thank you. And folks, as I always end this show, as I say, always be kind to each other. It doesn't cost anything extra to be kind, so be kind.
Right on, dude. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.
Take care. And as DC says, keep playing them 80s.
All right.
Hell to the yeah.
See you next week, folks.
Later.
Be safe. The best to you guys. And we'll catch up again.
All right. Anytime, man.
Sounds good.
Love to.
Okay.
All right. See
Take
you.
care. Bye-bye. Awesome.
Hey, that was a good one, brother.
I enjoyed those guys, I think, more than anybody we've done.
That was a lot more personal than what I thought. We'll have them again.
Yeah, they're good. They're good guys. Just down to earth. Man, wouldn't they be awesome to tell great stories and just hang out and drink some beer with?
Wouldn't it be amazing?
Yeah.
That's what we need to tell them next time. We're all going to have
I'll tell you this. We need This is a trip we need to make, and we could take the wives. We need to fly out to Vegas and try to catch one of their shows sometime.
We can
when
do
we're
that.
off.
We can do that.
That
We
would
can
that would be a
definitely do that.
fun trip.
That would be. That'd be an amazing trip. I mean, they were both amazing individuals.
Yeah, they were.
All
They
right,
were
brother. Let's get ready for another work day tomorrow.
All right.
Tomorrow's gonna be another long one. I got soccer, so I'll be there from 6 a.m. to 10
I feel
p.m.
for you.